Decision fatigue occurs when you have grown so weary of making decisions that you have lost the ability to make sound, logical choices or the ability to make a decision at all. Welcome to today's video. My name is Lindsay and I run the blog The Well-Rounded Teacher, where I give you tips, tricks, and ideas on ways to live a more balanced lifestyle. If you are new to my videos, thank you so much for joining me today. Please click that subscribe button as well as the bell icon so you never miss a new upload. And if you are a returning friend, thank you so much for being here. If you are getting value from today's content, please click that like button. So decision fatigue, there's kind of some debate back and forth on whether or not it's a legitimate thing or if it is just an excuse that people are using to try and excuse away the poor decisions that they are making. I would like to present some ideas to you today on why I think that decision fatigue is a real thing. And once you know if it's something that you're suffering from, you can take some steps in order to be able to combat the decision fatigue and improve your overall life and life balance. They've done some studies on prisoners who were up for parole, and they went before the parole board, and they found that, all things being equal, those who went in first thing in the morning when the parole board was fresh were more likely to be granted release than those who went later in the day when they were more exhausted and didn't really have the capacity to weigh the pros and cons and automatically just said no. I thought this was just a really interesting study that is something we kind of see in the rest of life. They talk about if you want to have a good interview, the best time to go is first or very last so that you can kind of leave an impression on people. If you're somewhere in the middle, you're going to get blurred in with everyone else and no one's going to remember you or anything about you. And I think this is true. Again, they have to think through so many things and make decisions about which person is best for the team. You really see that showing up. So decision fatigue, it's that inability to be able to make good decisions because you've grown so tired of having to decide things. How do you know if you have it? Here are 4 signs that you might be suffering from decision fatigue. Number 1, decision avoidance. Now, there are some people out there who generally avoid making decisions. They're very, very indecisive. That's different from what we're talking about here. If that is your natural tendency and that's just who you are as a person, that might not necessarily mean you have decision fatigue. That might just be one of your character traits. But if you're someone who typically is able to make a decision and go with it, and then you find yourself avoiding all decision making, this might be something that you're suffering from. I find this really is true at the end of a school day. So on a weekend, you can ask me to make a decision. I have no problem doing that anytime during the course of the day. But if it's a school day, if I come home at the end of the day, I do not want to decide what to have for dinner or what I'm going to watch or listen to or do. So I don't want to make one more decision. And so I will often avoid that, whether it's deferring that to someone else or just going with whatever option is convenient or whatever option pops up first. That's what I'm going to do because I'm avoiding making decisions after a full day of work. The second sign that you may be suffering from decision fatigue is impulse purchasing. You find this happens a lot at grocery stores especially. So if you've gone in for, your weekly haul or your monthly haul and it's taking you a long time to go through the store, you're having to weigh out all of the decisions about what you're going to purchase, what fits in the budget, what's on sale. Oh, they don't have that item that's on sale. So am I going to replace it with something else or am I not going to get it at all because the price difference? So you're making all these decisions throughout the course of the store. You get to the checkout line and, oh, bright, shiny magazine or that Snickers bar that's calling your name. We're more likely to make those impulse purchases because our decision-making ability is fatigued from all the decisions that we've had to make throughout the course of the store. You also find this in places like the car lot. So you've had to go through that whole process of deciding which car did you want? Are you going to get the upgrades or not get the upgrades? Which model are you getting? You've gone through all of that process and you're already feeling fatigued. And guess what? It's time for them to ask you a few more questions. Do you want that top coat? Do you want that anti-rust? I'm not really a car person, so I don't know. That anti-rust stuff that they put on there. They're asking you all these things and wanting to know if you want to add it on, and you're more likely to just say, oh, you think I need it? Yep, I'll get that, because you're already fatigued from all the other decisions that you've had to make. The third thing is impulsive eating. I have definitely noticed for myself impulsive eating decisions occur. So if I have not meal planned and I have not made sure that I have ingredients in my house for particular recipes, I might just decide, you know what, I can't even pick something. I'm just going to go out to eat because it's quick and it's easy and I need to do that. And it's not the healthiest of choices. I've also noticed at school, maybe during the course of the day, if it's been a particularly challenging day with some of my friends, maybe having a challenging class in particular, and you've had to make all these decisions about how are you going to deal with that student's behavior, and how are you going to keep the rest of the class on track, and how are you going to meet the learning needs of these kids over here and challenge the kid over here who has already learned the information you're presenting. And you've had to make all of these decisions throughout the course of the morning that impact all of these other people as well as yourself. By the time I get to lunch and that cupcake is sitting in the staff room, I am so much more likely to say yes and give in to that, even though maybe I was trying to stick to a really healthy eating plan, or I had determined that I'm cutting sugar out of my diet for the week. I just don't seem to have any control for saying no to that if I've had to deal with a lot of decisions throughout the course of the morning. I think that we see this a lot with healthy choice versus an unhealthier choice, so it shows up a lot in our eating decisions. The fourth sign of decision fatigue is a little bit of an impaired self-regulation. So if you're feeling fatigued, you might not be able to see the long-term effects of your choices and weigh out the pros and the cons in a way that is going to allow you to make the best choice. For example, even coming down to how you respond to a situation. If you have ever noticed, a lot of times when people fly off the handle at something, it happens later in the day because they're so exhausted from all of the other decisions that they've made that they're lacking the ability to rein it in and respond in a more appropriate manner. That's not to excuse that behavior by any means, but just saying that there is definitely a lack of self-regulation, and impulsivity tends to show up a lot more if you are in one of those areas. What can we do then? If you're noticing some of these signs of decision fatigue showing up in your life, what can we do about it? There are a number of things that we can do to try and improve decision fatigue within our life, and we'll be going through some of those throughout the course of the year. But 2 things to get you started today. Number 1 is to make sure that you are developing habits and routines that are going to simplify your life and reduce the number of decisions that you need to make. I would really recommend reading the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, and I will link that in the description down below. I think that his book really talks about how to create new lasting habits that are going to benefit you and are going to help you to simplify your life and to create those routines that are going to reduce the number of decisions that you have to make during the day. So we want to take some steps to do those kinds of things in order to reduce our decision fatigue. And the second thing is to put off high stakes decisions until a time when you're not fatigued. An example of this might be, especially in my early teaching career, I noticed that people would come to me at the end of the school day and ask me to be part of a committee or ask me to join them on some type of big project at school. And I would always say yes, partly because I was the new person on the block, but also partly because I thought I could take all of those things on. And if they're asking me to do it, then certainly it must be because I'm capable of doing it. And so I would say yes to a lot of things. And what I would find is that a day later or a couple of days later, I'm left wondering, why did I say yes to being on that committee? Or why did I say yes to doing that task? Because if I had really thought through all of the parts of that, I didn't have the time to properly commit to that task or that committee. If I had taken the time to really think about it and to look at the pros and cons, I would have made a different decision, and it wouldn't have left me feeling so out of balance with things. So I want to just encourage you that it's not being mean to tell someone, I need to think about that. Can I get back to you on this tomorrow? And actually, it's the respectful thing to do. Because if you cannot give all of your time and attention that is necessary to make that project a success or to be a valuable contributing member to that committee, then it really isn't worth saying yes to, and it's not going to help benefit that group or the person that asked you. So the respectful thing to do is actually to tell them no, which I know is super, super hard, especially for teachers. It's hard for us to say no, but it really is the respectful thing to do. So I want to encourage you in those two areas to try and work on reducing your decision fatigue. Let me know down in the comments below, have you ever experienced decision fatigue, or is this something that you're experiencing right now? And what are some ways that you know that you have decision fatigue? Let's keep the conversation going, and I can't wait to see you back here in the next video. Bye, everyone.